Alright everybody, welcome back to the Western Southerner YouTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you about trouble code P219a. Seem to have resolved this issue with my pickup truck. So I have a 2010 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3 liter V8. Air fuel mixture imbalance code. And there is a whole list of things that can create that code. Get down and resolve it is kind of a notoriously difficult problem. Do an overview and tell you the things that I did. Okay, so initially I had a P219a code, a P3400 code, which is the cylinder deactivation shutting down, and a P0131 code, which is a bad O2 sensor code. And so I put a Walker O2 sensor in it, and I also changed the air filter and either put a Wix or a microguard in, I can't remember. The code came back. I checked the evap solenoid function. The code didn't have any misfire codes, so I ended up putting new injectors in it, okay? The code came back. The fuel alcohol level was in normal range, and the code kept coming back. I replaced the mass airflow sensor. That actually, it threw a code for a bad mass airflow, so I think it just happened to go bad around the same time. So I replaced that with a Delphi unit at Napa because it was in-house as I was driving. I took it to a local shop, and they said that the lifter valley pan gasket had a leak, and that needed to be replaced because there was a vacuum leak. They replaced that. It was an $800 job, and then the code came back. So that was not the issue as far as I'm concerned. At this point, things got pretty complicated, as you can imagine. And I have a scanner. I use OBD Link. It's called MX Plus. It's the nice OBD Link scanner. It shows up on my phone. The O2 sensor readings. And I noticed that the O2 sensor readings were kind of all over the place. And the sensor, Bank 1 Sensor 1 readings were inconsistent. So I'll plug a photo of the Bank 1 Sensor 1 or a screenshot in right now. You know, keep in mind this whole time I've got a misfire counter also on my scanner. I'm not getting any misfires, so I don't think it's a bad ignition coil. So there was 3 other things I wanted to do. Wanted to change the main engine ground strap. I'll show a quick video clip of what that is. Okay, so this is that grounding strap. This is a 10 millimeter bolt, and then there's a 15 millimeter bolt back there. Right there. And I had to use a thing called a crow's foot to get that off. A normal stubby wrench or socket won't work. You got to use a crow's foot. And the reason why I wanted to change that was because it was corroded, and apparently, you know, background could cause a lot of issues, which makes sense. I also ordered a Delco O2 sensor, Bank 1 Sensor 1 sensor, Upstream sensor, which is different from the downstream sensor, and I'll show you the part number right here. Got a Delco air filter. Watching some videos, there's a guy that does has a YouTube channel called South Main Auto, really sharp guy. I don't know where he's out of, but somewhere up north. And what he recommended was making sure the Airbox was in good shape and replacing the 2 Upstream O2 sensors and using a Delco air filter. And that seems to have resolved the issue. You know, I've driven like 96 miles, and it seems like the problem is resolved. So my Airbox is in pretty decent shape. Unfortunately, the guy that did the lifter valley gasket, he kind of, you know, broke a tab on the Airbox and kind of didn't properly install the map sensor, so I had to kind of go back and fix those things before I could, you know, kind of resume what I was working on. So I might need to replace the Airbox at this point, but I think I have a good enough seal to where there's not a vacuum leak there. There's not just like one set fix. You have to kind of do maybe a series of things and kind of do some troubleshooting and figure out what's going on. I think that first set of codes I got, which was P0131, P219a and P3400. A bad O2 sensor, maybe a bad maybe the air filter. That aftermarket air filter wasn't good for it. I've used a lot of old Fram air filters and never had a problem, but maybe that microguard or that Wix filter just didn't jive with the system. But I think that Walker O2 sensor was not reading correctly. I'll plug in the graph of the Walker O2 sensor, and you can see the lines look a little different in the Delco O2 sensor. The lines are really smooth. The Walker O2 sensor, it's kind of jagged on top and then it drops back down. So hopefully this helps someone out. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I read all the comments. I'll answer your question if I know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to point you in the right direction to try to help you get resolution. The old truck's got 244,000 miles on it, and you know, it's got a new set of injectors in it, so I'm just going to keep on driving. If this is helpful, hit like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned.